Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked off by the line. Darius Slay's got it. Coming back right side 25. Picks up a block at the 30. Darius at the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right. Stafford throws deep. Got a man out there. End zone. Caught. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones.
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Cornbread.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? We are back, and it's Tuesday. Me and Chuck, we just finished our first fantasy football episode yesterday. Just getting Chuck up to speed and kind of talking some fantasy football there, and just getting our stories and what leagues we're in, and then we talked a few players. So looking to build off that in the next few weeks, really get down to who some of these guys are, and who you should take and what your strategy should be, and just kind of have some fun joking around with each other as friends for many, many years now. But what I thought I'd do, I'm actually going to try a different type of show right here. I've got a draft coming up right now, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about it before I get going, and then I'm going to try to give you some live react as this thing goes as well. What this is, I want to introduce you guys to this amazing fantasy football platform. It's called Reality Sports Online. Now, I want to say they've been, existing for about 5 years or so now. It was kind of crazy. I bumped into them just as they were debuting, and me and a bunch of my other buddies and tons of other people have been hooked on this thing ever since. But kind of in summary, what it is so they took fantasy football and they tried to make it kind of as close to the real thing as they could. So they took the auction concept, which is like where you bid on players and you kind of have to give people a certain dollar value, and they found a way to sort of make it easy to expound on that and make it contract based. So you actually get to give players contracts, 2-year deal, 4-year deal, rookie contracts, all this type of stuff. And like whenever I tell people about it right away, they're kind of like, oh man, it's way too complicated. I got no time for that. But what's awesome is like they did make it really, overall very simple. So like the rookie draft is as close as you'll get to kind of the real thing. You pick players, they're slotted as a certain dollar amount, just like the NFL. And then when you get to auctions, the actual auction where you get to take, the main players. If you're starting up a league, you'll get the Saquons and the Odells and Michael Thomas, all those type of guys. But they made it real easy. At the very top of the auction, there's there's 3 or 4 buttons, 1-year deal, 2-year deal, 3-year deal, 4-year deal, and they've created an algorithm, a formula that as you click those buttons against all the other owners, the price will just go up and up and up, and then, when the time runs out, you will win that player at that dollar amount. So, what it takes is kind of, you do sort of have to balance your budget, but again, it's not rocket science. You just kind of have to see how many positions you have, what you're willing to spend at certain positions, and work it that way. And I don't know. I've totally had a blast with it. Like I say, we not only have kept our leagues going since the day one when we jumped on board, but this one I'm doing tonight's actually a 32 team league, which is absolutely crazy. I kind of came up with this idea, last year, and my buddy Big Hughes, who you've heard on the Detroit Koolaid Cast before, he helped me kind of build out this league where we went crazy, not only with 32 teams, but we have, you got to start 3 running backs, you got to start 4 receivers, you got 2 tight ends. I mean, imagine that. You got to start 2 tight ends, and there's 32 teams in the league, so you can imagine you're digging for talent, trying to fill those spots. But it's really been fun. Like I say, it doesn't take a ton of my time. I kind of love making trades. There's a lot more trades in this league, a lot more strategy, but not strategy that's taking you, days and weeks to sort of figure out. Just, come up with your strategy, work your plan, put together a spreadsheet of some sort, usually gets you by, and away you go. So that's kind of the intro. Now, I'm about just over 10 minutes from starting this thing. And, there's only certain players on the board. This is year 2 of this league, so I'll give you a little intro, and then, like I say, I'll probably cut together a few of the parts through the draft where, I put a player up for auction and tell you guys what that price ends up being. But I totally recommend checking this out. RealitySportsOnline.com is where you can go, kind of read up on it, see if it's your thing, give it a try, start an 8 or 12 team league, and then, like I say, the more you get into it, you start expanding teams and everything. Like, now that we're at this league, like, those 8, 10 team office leagues seem so simple. You just do those things blindfolded, really easy. But, so, let me give you my team right now. So, like I say, we're in year 2. So I've got Dak Prescott at quarterback, Le'Veon Bell at running back, Joe Mixon at running back, Kerryon Johnson at running back. My receivers, Kenny Galladay, Dede Westbrook, Odell, Kelvin Harmon, as kind of my starters at the moment. And then at tight end, my 2 starting tight ends right now are Njoku and Herndon. And what's cool about this league, too, again, to make it as real as possible, is you actually have a starting defense. So you have 2 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, 2 linebackers, 3 corners, and 2 safeties that you start. So, again, seems like a lot, but really you're just plugging guys in at those positions that, are good young players at good dollar amounts, and away you go. So, right now, slotted kind of in my DN spot is Toure for Indy. He was a rookie I picked up late last year. Jatavius Brown for the Chargers I have in my linebacker spot, along with Jerome Baker, who I also took as a rookie last year. You've got Stephon Gilmore, the stud corner for the Patriots. I was able to get him at a really nice price. Garyon Conley out of Ohio State. He's a corner that has some upside. Was able to get him in there. And then Marcus Williams, the safety for the Saints. So that's kind of who I have penciled in at starters. And then obviously I have open spots I need to fill on the defensive side of the ball. Beef up that receiver. Running back depth's always key. My bench right now, I picked up Mike White, kind of the 3rd string for Dallas. I picked him up last year in the rookie draft, real late, 4th, 5th round. So he's kind of my insurance policy with Dak there. I got Bryce Love, who I was able to pick up this year, kind of rolled the dice on him for talent as a backup running back. CJ Prosise is a guy I love, coming out of the draft. He's really got hurt and has never done anything, but I'm hanging on there just because, like I say, it's so deep. You got to hold on to some of these guys. I took Travis Fulgham at receiver in our rookie draft. I really like his ceiling, but I'll probably have to be patient with him. Jake Butt at tight end, who at the time I thought he had a lot of upside, and then he ripped his knee off again last year as a bummer. Shaquem Griffin, who I took in the last round of our rookie draft, he played a little bit last year. He's got some upside, and then I was able to get Jeffrey Simmons, the big old nasty defensive tackle this year in our rookie draft, pretty late. Obviously, he has a knee injury, but I'm kind of hanging on to him. So that's kind of where my lineup is right now. Like I say, we've got just over 8 minutes before this thing gets going. Top guys on the board when we get into this auction are, we've got Phillip Lindsay sitting out there. We've got Chris Godwin, Tyler Boyd, Damian Williams. And then you get into the defensive players. The other cool thing we did about this league is defense equals offense. Like, basically, defensive players will score similar to to offense equals defense, in regards to points scored, which really makes it nice. And you can kind of value some of these defensive players high if you'd like, or you can skew towards offense however you want to do it. So Frank Clark's available. Obviously, he's a big price tag guy this year. QT, got the Honey Badger out there. Mike Gesicki. Larry Fitz is out there. Deshaun Jackson. Let's see, Adam Humphries. Adrian Peterson is out there. Those are just some random names. But real quick, before I dial into this draft, I got to make sure I tear this thing up too. So I'm looking at the board. I've got some people pegged that I'd like to get at certain values, certain price points, certain round. Not rounds because it's an auction, but certain. When they come on the board, they'll be targets of mine, or I'll put people on the board that I don't want. So other people will spend their money. I don't have a ton of money to spend because, as you could hear, I sort of have a decently filled out roster for the most part when it comes to starters. But yeah, man, as this thing loads up, I'm probably just going to throw either Phillip Lindsay or Chris Godwin up on the board. They're one of the top players. They're at big positions. Probably get people to spend their money, and then probably not player that I'm going to obtain, but be fun to put them out there and kind of see where the price point ends with these guys. It always surprises me when you put these guys up of how much people pay and aren't really, working their budget. They just want the player, and then there's other people that sit there and don't spend any money. And at the end of the draft or auction, again, we're doing this tonight just for an hour or two, and then come back next Tuesday and pick it up again, until all the rosters are filled. That really worked out well for us last year. So, like I say, there's people with lots of money, there's people with no money, so that kind of dictates where you're going to go to. But it should be fun. Like I say, 5 minutes left or so. So I'll go ahead and duck out here for a minute, and then I'll try to load this thing back up when I'm on the clock, ready to go, and we'll see how the first few picks go. I'll kind of talk you guys through. So thanks for checking us out. Another edition, kind of a bonus edition of the fantasy football flavor here on Detroit Koolaid Cast. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, we're back. Just a little over 2 minutes before this thing gets kicked off. So went ahead and made a decision. I'm going to go ahead and put Chris Godwin on the clock. Receivers are really valuable. Like I say, not everybody is loaded up live. We got a pretty good showing here for this first go-through of this auction. It's hard to get 32 people all at the same time on the same page at the same draft. But like I say, that's why we kind of divvy it up for 2 hours here. And I think I'll just throw them up. I kind of have a price point in mind that I'm going to stick to. Again, I don't have a ton of cap space and still need to fill. I think I got 17 spots to fill, offense and defense. So you definitely can't go in, everything on one player. It would be great to be able to put in Chris Godwin in my lineup because I just looked. He's sort of 23 years old. Bruce Arians going to be slinging the ball all around the field. Lots of upside there, but not sure he's going to fit in my budget here. But I think that it'll get people to really bid crazy. If I had to throw out a number, I bet you Chris Godwin's probably going to go for, when it's all said and done, I bet you he's around like the $12 to $15 million range on a probably 3-4 year deal, if I had to guess. And like I say, the contract amounts, they're not exactly like the NFL. But, you can work the numbers. You're going to get some cheap guys. A cheap guy in this league is, get him a multi-year deal for, a few $1,000,000, under $10 million, that type of thing. So, like I say, we're under a minute here. I'm going to get this thing going with Chris Godwin, see how it goes, see how everybody ends up bidding on him, kind of talk you guys through it. But, like I said, I knew this would be a really unique podcast. Most of you probably have no clue what this Reality Sports Online is, and those that do know how awesome it is. So we'll go ahead and cue this thing up. You may hear my computer making some noises as people bid, kind of see if I'll mute that or whatever for the podcast, but I want you to hear some of those noises of people bidding and when people win, all that stuff. So should be good. Looking forward to it. 20 seconds will be on the clock here. People are chomping at the bit, ready to go. They got their checkbooks ready. So here we go in 10 seconds. So I got Chris Godwin queued up. When it go live, I'm going to have to just hit him and then put him on the chopping block and see where it goes from there. So Chris Godwin is on the block, as you just heard. Price is going up there for him. I just put in a little 3-year bid trying to get his price up. He's up around, this is yearly amount at right now. He's at about $5 million a year. Still a steal at that price. I'm going to stay in the bidding here while it's still at this low amount. People are kind of just getting rolling. Like, in some of these players that have a lot of upside, everybody kind of ticks them up a little bit at a time. $1 million here, a couple $1 million here. But like I say, it'll jump up crazy. He's at about $5.5 million per on a multi-year deal right now. So I'd expect this to continue to go up quite a bit. Get about 10 seconds or so to sort of put your bid in regards to, like I say, just 4 little buttons. You just sort of have to read the bottom line, know his yearly amount, it'll say 4 years, 34 million, which works out to be 7.5 per. It'll show that at the bottom of the screen. So you just sort of have to see if that's in your range or not, and keep it going. So he's up nearly 8 million now. Like I said, I think it's going to probably go north of 10, but we've got quite a few teams in on the bidding here, so we'll kind of see where he flattens out. He flattened out a little bit there at 8 million, so I jumped back in the pot. That's a little bit more than I probably should be thinking about, but I'm going ahead and getting in here at 4 years, around $9 million. I'm going to jump in again, see if I can snag Chris Godwin here. Fighting it out with a couple teams that probably have some more dough than I have, but I'll hang in here a little bit more, push this price up. That's the other part. It's definitely a game of poker, man. You're trying to move a guy's price up. You're trying to make sure you don't get caught with somebody you don't want, but you definitely don't want people to sort of get off cheap, where they're walking away with a really good player at next to nothing. So Chris Godwin, he's up over 10 million now, moving towards that $11 million range quickly. I want to say he's about to get to around to 12 million. That's probably going to be outside of my what I'm able to spend, just because I got some other guys I need to target as well. Seeing if he'll still go up here. I'm still hoping he'll get towards that 12, 15, like I guessed, sort of. People are kind of flattening out here around 12. People are getting some cold feet, so it's getting right down. The clock will go restart about 7 to 10 seconds with every bid. So you'll see people wait it out. There'll be 2-1, and then another bid comes in. I mean, people are still fighting it out for this guy. A couple of the teams in this league, they totally scrapped their whole roster. They got no players, and they got $100 million just sitting there. So, those are the teams that it's hard to deal with them, almost like the Yankees of baseball. It's hard to deal with their payroll, but it definitely is fun to see, do they end up getting bargains? Do they end up not? You kind of see how it shakes out. Yeah, Chris Godwin is almost up to 14 million per right now on a 4-year deal. So 4 years, $63 million for Chris Godwin. Yeah, I'm going to have to bail on that just based on my budget and the other spots I got to fill, but fun to watch this bidding war, man. It's pretty cool right now. So he's probably going to flatten out here in a minute and go to one of these couple teams that are hanging in there with the bidding. But we'll see how it goes. So Godwin right now, let's see, last bid, 4 years, almost $68 million, which again, it sounds like, oh man, how can you even balance that or deal with that? Well, they only got 4 buttons at the top that you can click, really, and it tells you 4 years, 69 and a half. It shows you the 2019 amount for Chris Godwin would be 15.4, and then it has this guaranteed, it's usually half of whatever the total amount is. It has all that on the button, which is nice, so makes it real easy to sort of see where you're at with things. Let's see. Oh, he almost went. 1 second left. He's still going up right at the 15 million mark, which was my kind of random guess that I threw out there just based on previous year, as well as kind of just taking a stab at where he might end up. So he's people are still fighting for him. Like I say, the guy that has 117 million is fighting for him. We've got a few others in the mix. He's up near 17 now. Oh my, this is getting to be pretty rich for a guy like this receiver. Oh, the clock went to 1, and he didn't go. Somebody got a last second bid in, so he's almost at 17 million bucks. Oh my goodness. This is the league though, man. There's I didn't give you all the contract amounts. I mean, I have Kenny Golladay somewhere in the $10 million range on a multi-year deal. Odell in this league is going to be around the 25-ish, 20 to 25, somewhere in that range. I was able to make a big trade during our rookie draft, pick up Lev Bell. I felt like running backs were hard to obtain, and as you can see here, the price is going to go up. You're paying nearly $18 million for Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin signed a 4-year deal, 78.5. That was around like 17 million bucks per. So, man, he went for a big chunk of change, but like I said, it was expected, and the more of those kind of deals that go out, kind of flattens it out for everybody, and then we can go ahead and spend, or you're always looking for diamonds in the rough, that type of stuff. So, Philip Lindsay just went on the clock. He was kind of the other top player on the board, and his number jumped up quick. Some people will nickel and dime it, other people move it up quick. So right now he's at a 4-year, 60 million basically, so around 13 per, and we've got some teams battling out for him. So Philip Lindsay, man, undrafted guy. He's got a great attitude though. Like, he's splitting time a little bit with the people in Denver, but I mean, I love the guy's electricity. He had a huge year last year. So again, this guy probably in that 15 to 20 million dollar range if you really want him, which, like I say, Lev Bell, I don't know if I got to it. He's up around 33 million. I think I have him at for the next 3 years. I think I have him, which, like I say, is one of the higher contracts per year. But I think he's going to really have a great year with the Jets. And, even with that price tag, running backs being so valuable, it puts my running backs at him, Mixon, and Kerryon Johnson. Oh my, that's great. And the other reason I can pay so much for Lev Bell at 33 plus million is because I got Kerryon in a rookie draft trade. I was able to obtain Kerryon Johnson. I think he's making maybe $2-3 million bucks per year in this league for the next 2 to 3 years. So if you get a couple great rookies, then you're really able to spend more at other positions. So that really helped me a lot. Got a good deal on Joe Mixon too last year in the auction. So that's how you kind of balance it out. Is you pay big for some people, you kind of get some other bargains, make sure you work that roster. So Philip Lindsay, this is another guy I won't be getting. He's up at 18 million now. So go ahead and let somebody else write that check. But let me go ahead and hit pause on this thing. I'll go ahead and get back with you guys here in a bit and give you kind of a recap of what's went down. But hopefully you're enjoying this. I know it's kind of a unique look. I'm trying to talk you through it. I'm trying to enjoy this thing. And 2 big-name players going off the board. I'll hang in here with Philip Lindsay. He's probably about to be done. He's up at over $19 million per year. That's a big chunk of change to pay for this guy. Still people battling him out. Let's see here. I think you'll probably finish up here. You can't go much more than 20. I mean, like I say, that is a lot to pay a guy like this, no matter what you think about him. So, ticking down. Looks like there's 3 or 4 teams bidding for his services. You can kind of see who's bidding what. We are right now at 4 years, $92 million for Philip Lindsay. So, again, that is over the $20 million per year mark. I was out quite a bit longer. I like the football player, but just does not fit in my budget or what I'm trying to do with my roster. So, sure enough, the guy with the $100 million is driving this price crazy up, and we'll see if he ends up. Let's see if he ended up with that first player. Nope, Chris Godwin went to another team that had some money. So, Curb Stompers is one of the teams in this league who has $117 million. So he was driving Chris Godwin up, but looks like he bailed. And Philip Lindsay just went to one of the other teams, 3 years, $81.5 million. So, man, that's a lot of dough for him, especially on a 3-year. That moves that yearly price up. So, like I said, everybody, I'll get out of here. I'll jump back on, piece this thing together for you. But the draft is going down. RealitySportsOnline.com. All right, everybody, I'm back. So, I want to jump back on and kind of tell you the craziness that's been going down right now. So, part of this league, it's year 2. And there's teams that were in last year that built really good rosters. We had a few teams that, said they were all in at the beginning and then, ducked out pretty early. And we had some teams sort of in the middle that tried but just didn't really build a great roster. So we're in this auction, and some people, like I said, have crazy money. Other people don't. The prices right now are just absolutely insane. I mean, me and a few of my buddies who are in this league with a bunch of people we don't know, we're just sitting here clowning on the message board, having some fun, because there's no way we're bidding on these prices. But let me go ahead and give you the rundown. So we talked about the first couple players, but here's where they ended up. 4 years, $78.5 million for Chris Godwin. Philip Lindsay went 3 years, $81.5. Tyler Boyd was up next, wide receiver for the Bengals. 4 years, $87.5 for Tyler Boyd. Then somebody tried to sneak in Gus Edwards, running back for, I believe he's still with Baltimore. He had a little sneaky year last year, but they tried to throw him up, thinking maybe they get a deal. Nope, he goes for 1 year, $12.5. Now, one thing you got to know about reality sports, like you get a certain amount of 4-year deals, 3-year deals, 2-year deals. And, I mean, if you like a guy, you're definitely trying to spread him out on a longer deal because, Gus Edwards, if you get that same deal at 3-4 years, it's going to look, be more in that maybe $7 million range. But when you do 1 year, I mean, just like the real league, it ramps it up a ton. So 12.5 for 1 year, that's a ton. Then Damian Williams comes up next, who was one of the, more highly ranked running backs. But, I mean, nobody even knows if he's going to start. He had a really good end of the year last year once Kareem Hunt got booted. But this guy goes for 4 years, $108 million. I mean, if this guy doesn't absolutely become a stud in the league, that's a debilitating contract right there. And me and my buddies, I mean, we know there's some teams that are coming in here fresh with a lot of money, trying to rebuild. So you got to just let people do what they do. But, just like any auction, even if you do a 12-team auction with your buddies, it gets crazy, in regards to what people go for and what happens. So that's to be expected. But let me keep working this list. So Damian Williams went for crazy money, and then somebody put Adrian Peterson up, again, probably thinking they'd get a deal. I saw one guy offer Adrian Peterson 4 years, a 4-year deal. And he's like, 35 years old right now? He's going to be a running back at 40 or something. But he went for 1 year, 14. That was a guy just trying to get a starter, overpaid for 1 year, but did what he did. Telvin Smith was thrown up next. Again, this is a guy where, you throw him up because he's decided to step away from the football or whatever, thinking maybe he'll get a steal. I mean, people are bidding back and forth with him like he's a, rare and ready to go right now type of guy. So, Telvin Smith, 3 years, $23 million over the span of that. That's crazy. Honey Badger up next. He goes for 3 years, 37, so over $10 million a year for him. Frank Clark, defensive end, just went. Again, probably the top edge rusher on the board available, and 4 years, $54 million, which, again, some of these defenders, I mean, Honey Badger and Frank, I mean, I could kind of see it if you want to spend on your defense, but That's still a lot of money for those guys. So, and then somebody just recently snuck in Doug Baldwin, who last time I checked, not only retired, but he's medically not cleared to play. So, again, a total shot in the dark by somebody. 1 year, $1 million. I mean, if anything, if you're gonna go in on Doug Baldwin, you might as well go in for like a multi and hope that, you know, maybe a 2-year deal, something like that, where maybe he can come back. But I think that's just not only a wasted roster spot, but, you know, just kind of doesn't make sense. If it was a younger player that was stepped away, even like Telvin, if you got him super cheap, I could understand it because he'll probably come back next year and could be really good. But Doug Baldwin, I'd say he's done due to medical reasons, that type of thing. So craziness, man, crazy spending. This is what you do. You kind of sit here and watch this go on, wait for the playing field to level out. And what I think some of these teams had over like 120 million. A lot of them are down to that 80-ish or less range. So kind of coming back to the pack, which is nice. And then you can have some more fair bidding, as well as just kind of, you know, again, there's lots of players in the board in a league like this that you're kind of waiting on, just guys that you like, that if you wait it out long enough and if nobody else nominates them, that's probably where you get better pricing than you will right now, where people have more money and also lots of roster spots to fill. We do have 40 roster spots per team on this league, so that's a ton too. But you know, the 22 roster spots, starters, which is kind of like an NFL team does, you know, 11 on 11, and then we give you quite a bit of bench, that way you can play in a crazy depth league like this. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an idea of where these prices are, who's it going. I mean, right now on the board, John Johnson III, safety for the LA Rams. He started out like low. I was thinking, oh, maybe he'll go like 5, 6, 7 million bucks. I mean, he's up now to 4 years, $40 million for this guy. I mean, over 10 million bucks a year. Again, goes to a team that had nearly 100 million bucks. So, you know, it is what it is. You just kind of let it go and deal with it later. So I still having fun with this thing. I mean, it's fun to see all these crazy plans that people had coming in and what they're willing to spend now versus like what they'll look at later and kind of go, you know, should I have done that? So Mike Gesicki just went on the board. This is a guy that I like. I've got him in my 3-year range, that I give him a 3-year deal. So I'm going to kind of wait this out and see where he ends up. You kind of don't want to bid too early because it just went from like $1 million up to $6 million real quick right now. So $6 million. I'm going to go look at sort of what I had him pegged at, what I was willing to spend on this guy. Again, you got to sort of be mindful of the clock. I'm trying to talk to you guys and have some fun, but you definitely got to sort of know what you're looking to spend. Know kind of where you're at price-wise. Again, this guy, man, he's going a bit higher than I want to go. This was the guy everybody was so high on last year as a rookie, and he just didn't show up. You know, didn't make plays, didn't play up to his potential nearly at all. So I just don't know what to think about him. You know, he's a freaky athlete in the combine. He's playing on a team, the Dolphins, that should not only throw it around, but could use some playmakers. So you like that situation, but gosh, I don't know. Right now he's up over $8 million bucks. I mean, it's a lot. But tight ends in this league too are pretty dang valuable. So you got to weigh that as well and kind of see who else might be left after Gesicki goes. Man, I'm kind of waiting this thing out to see if it would die out at a certain amount. 8, 9 million. I'm going to take one more look at something here and see if I want to jump in on this guy or not. He's up towards about 9 million. Kind of keeps creeping up. You know, there's a few teams in the bidding. I've already got, you know, a couple tight ends I like. I would love it if Jake Butt could sort of come back to form and do some things. But, yeah, man, he's starting to get near to the 10 million. I'll probably bail here at this point. Hope that when you bail, too, you kind of hope the price keeps going up on a guy like this, because you don't want other teams to sort of get a guy that you decently liked, or that he's valuable in this league. If you're going to bail, you want it to go quite a bit higher than you were willing to spend. So I'm kind of hoping Gesicki goes for, in that 10 to 12 plus $1 million range here. It'd make me feel good about not going after him. We'll see where he ends up. Like I say, we got a few teams, just 4-year deal, moving that price up one by one, playing a little chicken. Who's going to bail? Who's going to stay in on him? It's always super interesting to see. And like I say, I encourage anybody to get in an auction league. I mean, you can basically get anybody you want. It's just how much you're willing to spend for them. And, build your team that way. But it's a chicken game. It's a game of strategy, no doubt about it. And the guy that just won Gesicki, I think he wrote that sucked on the message board. So I don't know, maybe he was trying to price check somebody and got caught, or I'm not sure. We'll check here. I'll write him and see what happened. But yeah, about 11 million-ish is what he went for. So just glad I pulled back. Like I say, with not having a ton of money, you just got to be sort of careful that, do you want to spend on a guy like that? And here we got a guy, Martavis Bryant. Let me put up. One of my buddies actually jumped in on the bidding at 1 year 1.5. I'm not sure he's gonna like that. Maybe able to cut him or move on, but that was an interesting signing to say the least. So Kiki QT is going on the board. He's a real interesting guy. I've heard a lot of people super high on him. I absolutely love Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson is an absolute stud at the quarterback position. Let me go ahead. I've got a couple spreadsheets up here. You're going to go ahead and look at what I got QT at, just to sort of see what I might be willing to spend on him, what he's looking like. Yeah, I'd say he's out of my range already, up in the $12 million a year range. Again, teams with a lot of money going after this guy. I'll be curious to see what he does. I mean, people are so high on him. It's kind of like, okay, he was decent. He was injured last year, and there's some other guys. You got Fuller, you got D-Hop. I mean, I don't see him being incredible when it comes to impact, but we'll see. So the guy that got Gesicki, he just wanted him for a little bit cheaper. So, it is what it is. I mean, he says he liked him, so he got his guy. So, trying to say it'd be a sleeper or somebody want him as a sleeper. It's like, yeah, no, not in this type of league with a limited guys left and tight ends and this guy's ceiling. But again, you got to be smart with your budget. I mean, go pay 11, 12 million bucks for Mike Gesicki. Like, good luck filling out the rest of your roster. So those are the prices you pay. But QT here is getting up towards the $13 million range. We've got some teams after him. We'll see how this thing goes, man. We're about 40-some minutes into this thing. Offense, defense, different players going off the board. Me and most of the people I know in this league are kind of standing pat, just sort of watching it go and waiting until the price is right to dive in. So, everybody, I'm going to duck out of here. Probably come back maybe a little bit towards the end here, finish this podcast off. So, thanks again for listening. I'll be back. Detroit Koolaid, what's going on? I want to jump back on. What we're doing in this draft is 1 day a week for a couple hours, so from 8 to 10 p.m. So we're getting around 9:30 here. I thought I'd just jump on and sort of tell you a little bit what's happened and finish up this podcast. So thanks for listening. I hope this was kind of a different listen. I really encourage you to go to Reality Sports Online and check out their platform. I think it's the most fun, the most activity that you get for a fantasy league for your buck. And like I say, if you can find the right guys to get in with you, it's just a blast. So I really encourage people to do that. I currently had some targets, some people I thought I might get here in night one of this auction. I've very rarely even bid. I've just sort of watched this evening while others have spent their money and paid what I view to be quite a bit for certain players. But I wanted to jump on, sort of give you a little recap of some things I just noted of people that have gone and whatnot. Let me see, Malcolm Brown, who's a running back I don't mind, just went on the board, so I'm going to keep an eye on him. Kind of have a price range for him, and, who knows what's going on with the LA Rams in regards to their running backs, but I'm going to keep a little bit of an eye on this while I talk to you guys. But like I say, I made some notes here of sort of things I saw and what happened. Again, crazy auction, never know what's going to happen in this type of stuff. So Tucker, the kicker for Baltimore, which again, like in normal leagues, like kickers, like who gives a care, right? I feel like, in a 32-teamer, that kickers are pretty important. So I kind of watched this and thought about getting in it. He went 3 years, $17.5 million, so about what's that, $6 million or so per. I didn't think that was terrible. You got to lock up a kicker, and he's the best in the game. That guy's absolutely automatic. So I wrote that down, thought that was interesting. One guy, again, trying to outthink the system, he went for Crowell 1 year, $5 million, and we all were like, okay, you got him for 1 year at $5 million, and he's injured. I think he tore his ACL a month ago, and people were like, oh, well, I can extend him. There's extensions in this where a guy in his last year, you can hit the extend button and it'll tell you sort of what he would sign for. So that is an option, but if you're trying to extend Isaiah Crowell and think that's really going to make or break your team, you might want to relook at your team. Somebody got Deshaun Jackson at 2 years, $20 million, so around 10, a little under 10 per. I don't know. Like, if you're just paying for the 1 year, and if he does really well in Philly, I could see that. But, he really wasn't a guy based on age, and just looks like he hasn't really had it the last couple years, so I kind of ducked out on that one. Larry Fitz went for 3 years, 31 mil, so about 10 per. I feel like if the person thinks they're getting him, and then, if he retires, they're going to recoup some of that money. They got a rude awakening coming. But, Larry Fitz might be sort of decent this year, but I think he's definitely overplayed his ability the last few years. So I thought that was, not only overpriced, but giving him 3 years was just not what you want to do. Tyrod Taylor for Tennessee. This was a guy that had a lot of upside. Has never really came through. He went for 4 years, $25 million, so a decent amount of years. He's pretty young, I want to say 24 years old. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't want to go with it because they got Corey Davis. They brought in Humphreys. They've got a few other receivers over there. It just feels like they're always loading up on receivers. Took A.J. Brown this year. I don't know where Tyrod Taylor's going to get all these stats or make that worth the while, but somebody thought they'd roll the dice. David Moore, he was a guy I had targeted. He went for 4 years, $50 million. Now, that seems like a lot. It was a little bit, it was more than I wanted to go, but David Moore, when I've seen him for Seattle, is kind of a sneaky receiver. I didn't think many people would know about him. I thought you could get him at a decent value. He just went, higher than I wanted to spend at this point. Still lots of guys out there I like and can probably get, cheaper. So I let him go by. Humphreys, 4 years, around 40, so 10 or under for him. I thought that wasn't bad. It was interesting, no doubt about it. We'll see if he blossoms into like a target magnet, all these little catches underneath, or if he'll just sort of fade out of another wannabe Wes Welker or Edelman or whatever that just doesn't pan out. So it'll be interesting to watch that. Again, he's in Tennessee too, so another guy that's got to get footballs. And then this one was interesting. Eli Manning, 2 years, only $10 million. I actually thought about getting in on the bidding because I feel like they're so set on him. But he's looked so terrible the last couple of years, and they got rid of Odell. I like Golden Tate, I like Shepard, I like Ingram. They have some pieces, but I just thought, like, even if he plays halfway decent this year, I didn't want to have an old Eli Manning on my roster, so I let him go by. Be curious if the guy keeps him. He's already trying to trade him for a draft pick. It's kind of an interesting strategy too, but those were the main, as we've been on. Malcolm Brown, the guy I had my eye on, went for a 1 year 11.5. I mean, that's way more. If I was that team, I would have tried to spread that out over 3-4 years. But yeah, man, interesting. People just keep coming up. Chris Conley's another young talent that just went while I've been talking to you guys. Taylor Gabriel is up now. Interesting receiver if you think he's got upside. But like I say, I'm just sort of holding my cards right now watching. But thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see how this podcast turns out. I'm going to kind of piece this together for you guys. Again, we're basically going to do the fantasy football flavor show on Mondays. But I want to give you a little bit extra here. I will have another draft on Thursday and some other things going on. So maybe I'll give you a recap of that as well. Find a different format or just give you some details of how that league pans out. Like I say, I know a lot of you guys aren't going to get into fantasy football till late July, August, but I know there are a lot of listeners out there that are really intrigued by what kind of leagues he doing right now in the early June that has all these crazy rules and contracts. And so I hope I'm getting you guys interested and maybe send you to Reality Sports Online, have you check it out, as well as get your brain cranking that maybe you want to go check out ESPN or Yahoo, whatever league you use, and get into what's going on as we head up to fantasy football craziness. So thank you so much for listening, everybody. Detroit Koolaid will be dropping a Koolaid Cast on Wednesday with the one and only Grifka, so that should be fun. Have another one Friday morning. Be back next week with another fantasy football flavor with Chuck. So having a lot of fun on this platform and really appreciate the support and everybody listening. So check us out. Everybody take care. I'm going to get up out of here. Take it easy.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.